Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I am talking about watches. Today is the full review of this watch right here. It is another Pagani Designs, the PD1709, which is a homage to a Tudor Black Bay. Now, I particularly like the Tudor Black Bays. They are a very popular watch, and a lot of people are drawn to them because they are a very good looking watch. And in that sort of luxury watch market, they are at an almost affordable amount of money, still a lot of money, still a sort of grail watch sort of price for me, but it is a possible grail watch that some people can buy. However, just like me, if you are looking at buying a grail watch, it is fairway in the future. It is something that I'm not going to be buying anytime soon. And this is where homage watches come into their own. And this one here does give you an absolute sense of flavor for the watch, a sense of it on your wrist, and a bit of an idea of whether you actually like this style of watch. I picked this particular one for a couple of different reasons. I liked the look of the handset, I like the look of that stainless steel bezel, and I like this sort of rivet style bracelet that it comes on. So before we jump into the full review, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I would absolutely really appreciate it if you just click on that subscribe button. But enough of that, let's jump into the full review and let me show you what I like about this watch, what I don't like as much, and a few little things that I would like to change about it. But let's check it out. So here we have the Pagani Design PD1709. Comes in their new sort of blue style box, very similar to their other boxes, just a slightly different colour. This one here contains the Seiko NH35, costing me 170 Australian dollars, but you can also get it with the Miyota 8215, and it's a little bit cheaper at $150. Get your standard polishing cloth, get a little protection, which is nice. You get a tiny little screwdriver, and you'll see what that's for later. You get some documentation, hang tag, and of course you get the watch itself. And for me, standard, I always remove 4 links. That pretty much almost every watch I get, that means it's going to be a good fit for me. So why did I buy this one? Well, I particularly do like this style. I've always wanted a BB homage, and I particularly like the stainless steel bezel insert on this one. Just a little bit different. It's not something I've had in my collection before, and I also like the dimensions and the size and the weight of this watch. Those size being 42 millimeters with that bezel. It actually overhangs a tiny little bit, but the case itself is actually 41 millimeters. The width of the watch is 14.4 millimeters, so it's not exactly the thinnest watch in my collection, but it sort of holds that width okay. It's not too bad. Lug to lug is 50 millimeters. Having those female end links certainly help with that slightly bigger lug to lug, and the lug width is 22 millimeters. Overall, set for my 6 3/4 inch wrist, as you saw with 4 links removed, weighs in 169 grams. And that 170 grams is a bit of a sweet spot for me. I like watches that are a little bit heavier, and 170 grams feels right for me. I like the 150 grams as well, I like the 120 grams as well, but 170 just feels substantial on your wrist, and I do really enjoy it. Covering the dial there, we have a single domed sapphire crystal. I've checked it with my Sapphire Select, absolutely sapphire crystal. Underneath that, we have a plain sort of matte finish or satin finish black dial. We have a minute track printed around the outside. Also printed in white is the Pagani Design logo. Pagani Design, automatic, water resistant, 10 bar, 100 meters. Under here, Japan movement, obviously having the Seiko NH35 movement inside here. Applied on there, we have these applied indices, an upside down triangle at the 12, we have 2 buttons at the 6 and the 9, date window at the 3, and little circles all throughout the rest of them. There is lume on this watch. I'll throw in some lume now. As you'd expect from Pagani Design, lume is not their best or strongest part of their watches. It's certainly okay, and at this price range, I'm not expecting too much more. It's fine. Lume for me is not the most important part of the watch. It is a little bit disappointing if it's particularly bad, but I'm not expecting too much more from Pagani Design, so it's perfectly fine. Obviously the handset on this one, it is that homage to that Tudor, so we have that snowflake hour hand, sort of like a sword hand, minute hand, and another little snowflake on that little second hand. Overall, does really present quite nicely. Surrounded with that stainless steel bezel insert, which has sort of indented numbers sort of printed in black. Got that little red upside down triangle with that little pearl on the top there. Looks really nice. I think it really does give a very interesting look to the watch. Has a sort of a coin edge bezel to it. And one of the best parts of this particular watch is actually the bezel action. It's actually quite nice. It has a really nice click to it. I quite enjoy it. There is a tiny little bit of movement, but not too bad, and probably one of the best bezel actions I've had from a Pagani Design. And does it line up? Well, I'm pretty sure it does. Let's see if I can get it to do it on camera. There we go. Look at that. Absolutely fantastic. That stainless steel bezel insert is also brushed, and the majority of this watch is brushed. The only two parts that are not brushed is that polished chamfer edge on both sides of the watch and the edges of the bracelet themselves, which is polished. Rest completely brushed, including the top surfaces of the lugs, that big slab-sided brushed side there, which for me looks a little bit big, but it's looking that way for a reason. It is a homage watch, so it is trying to look like the watch that it is. It has an unguarded crown. It is signed with the Pagani Design logo. I've still got some of that blue stuff which comes off the original packaging. I've been trying to get it off for a while, tiny little bit left over. That's okay, not too worried. You'll see there is a little spacer in between there. It is a screw down crown. It has a very nice actual pop out to it. Hand winding obviously being the Seiko movement, with hacking as well. If you look deep inside there, there's a rubber seal, which I'm surprised this watch doesn't have more water resistance listed to it because of that seal in there. It does have a very nice sort of action just moving this crown around. Particularly nice, very, very smooth. Very good. Since we're talking about the NH35, I know we've probably all seen it before, but I do like seeing each particular watch that I get. So let's stick it on the Timegrapher and see how this one is performing. So as we would expect, it's running at 21,600 vibrations per hour, exactly what you expect from this Seiko movement. Beat error a little bit higher than I would like, but anything under 1 is perfectly acceptable, but it is nice to have that down to 0. Amplitude a little bit low, but perfectly acceptable again. Perfectly, I would like it more closer to the 300, however anything above 200 is normally pretty good. However, the rate is jumping around a little bit, and you'll see this little bit of movement in the line here. And it's sort of ranging between -6 and +5, which overall is actually pretty good, but as you can see, it is jumping a little bit. That may just be because the watch is not wound up enough, but you don't want this much snow on a chart normally, and it's a little bit weird to see that from the Seiko NH35. Realistically, it may just have to do with I perhaps haven't worn this watch enough in the last week, and I haven't wound it up enough. But how does it look on wrist? Well, I think it looks fantastic. I really do like the look of this one. I do like how it sits on wrist. I do like wearing my watches a little bit looser. That is just me, especially when they are a little bit heavier. I like feeling it move down, shuffling it back up, shuffling it back down again. Looking down the watch, that stainless steel bezel insert, it really does stand out as an interesting feature to it. It just sort of makes the watch feel and look different on wrist. Really quite nice. And I do particularly like how this bracelet is working on the wrist as well. I like how it integrates into the case itself. I like how it wraps around. I like this clasp. It's quite good. And we look down the wrist, you can see there is a bit of a slab side there, so it does fit a little bit strangely from that perspective, but that is just the sort of homage watch that it is. It is trying to look like that Tudor. That is the side of the case that it has. Let's have a look at it in a little bit more detail, shall we? We got solid end links, and they fit really well, like some of the best fitting end links I've come across. And this is probably one of the best Pagani designs for how it actually fits into the case as well. Really does seem to suit. They've got the right bracelet for this particular watch head. So I think that has worked quite well. Female end links, so it really does allow it to drop away a little bit more. All brushed. That sort of faux rivet style, which I actually quite like. I think it's quite interesting. Gives the watch a little bit of a different sort of look to it. Brushing on the side. The fit and finish is okay. It actually looks and feels good when it is on wrist. However, there's a few little fit and finish issues onto it. Yes, as you can see, it's not fitting into it quite as well as I would like, but I think with more and more use, that would slowly wear its way out. And to be honest, I'm only noticing that when I am playing with it like this. But yes, you would hope that that would not sit like that as a relatively new watch, would you? The clasp itself is what you expect from Pagani Design. I've seen it on many of their other Pagani Design watches. You have 3 levels of micro adjust, which is perfectly fine. A 4th one would not have gone astray, but for me, perfectly fine. There is screw links. Obviously, I like screw links. I like screw links on all the watches. However, because this is a sort of a faux rivet style, it does transition a little bit strangely from these pretend rivets through to screw heads, but I'm not going to complain too much about that from an affordable watch. Twin pushes on the clasp. It is fully milled, which is what we expect from Pagani Design. Does look and feel nice. Has that Pagani Design written on there. And for some reason, they always have this sort of cheaper looking diver's extension, which really, this is not a dive watch. They even list it as 100 meters water resistance. But that just comes with these sort of bracelets that they make. So I think it's just a standard that comes with the clasp and the bracelet. Overall, I'm very satisfied with this watch, and it is a really nice sort of a daily wear, especially with that stainless steel bezel, something a little bit different in the collection, just to mix it up day to day. But what do I like about the watch? What don't I like about the watch? And what would I change? Overall, I do like the looks of it. I think the quality you get, even though there are a few little fit and finish issues, for the price that you're paying, I think you're getting a lot of watch for your money. I like that it is a bit heavier. I like that 170 grams. I think it feels really substantial on wrist. Really do like it. Plus, with that 22mm lug width, I think this watch would look really good on a nice chunky leather strap as well. I think that would really dress this watch up in a way, or make it even sort of like a dressy casual look to it, which I think would work quite well. I really like the crown action on this one. Just very, very nice. I'm not sure why this particular watch is so good. Super smooth. Love how it pops out. Love how it has that little insert in there, the little spacer there. It does look very, very good. What don't I like about it? Well, one of the only things I really don't like about it is nothing really too bad about this watch. It's more about the watch that's probably homaging. That slab side just does feel a bit chunky and a bit thick, and it certainly doesn't curve down too much, so it doesn't fit to wrist perfectly. It fits good, but as I showed you earlier, there's a little gap here and here. Obviously, the movement inside this one is not working as well as I would have loved, but you can't get a perfect movement in every single watch you get. Now, I am undecided about one thing about whether I like it or dislike it. That is the colour of the date wheel. Not being colour matched, it sort of is a positive in a way because it balances out that indice relatively well. However, I think it might also look good if it was colour matched. I don't know. Leave a comment down below. Do you think it looks better like that, or do you think it should have been colour matched as well? What are the negatives of this watch? Well, again, that movement not as good as it was. But the loom, I guess, if you are a bit of a loom freak, if you love your loom, Pagani Design will always let you down a little bit. It's perfectly fine, it works perfectly well, but it's not their best feature in their watches that they produce. Overall though, a very nice watch. But let's flip the camera around now, and I'll give you some of my final thoughts of this Pagani Design BB Homage. Overall, I think this is actually a really nice watch. I like how it looks, I like how it feels on wrist, and I like this sort of faux rivet style bracelet that it has. And guys, if you are interested in this watch, I'm going to leave one of those AliExpress affiliate links down below. If you click on that and choose to purchase the watch, I'll earn a tiny little bit of commission. And that will help me buy some more watches, so I get to enjoy some more watches, but it'll also give me more watches to feature on my channel. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the review of this watch. And I really appreciate taking the time to listen to this guy talking about this watch. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again soon.